All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Dids in the Dugout. I am joined here by my buddies Chad and Hitch, as always. Before we get started, obviously, want to tell y'all that we are brought to y'all, as always, by Rhythm, the absolute best sports handicapping app out there. If I'm not mistaken, I saw something the other day on Twitter. I guess maybe I should have wrote it down so I could get it right, but they were named the number one new business by a Boston Journal or something like that. Again, don't have all that straight. I should have done a little more research and wrote it down so I remembered it. But
Yeah.
they are very good though, and they're constantly adding to their app. College basketball's going on right now. That's what everybody's been betting on right now. NFL coming to a close. Only got the Super Bowl left, but you do have that one game, and one of the Rhythm's new features, like we've talked about the past couple weeks, is the player props. So you can build your own models, have Rhythm build the models for you, and those models will give you projections with player stats and show you what edges have the biggest chances of hitting on player props. And I've seen a lot of people on Twitter using those and having a good bit of success. So if y'all are looking to try to get a little bit ahead in your gambling account leading into the college football season later on this year, then go ahead and download Rhythm and let them carry you all the way through college basketball and make a little bit of money doing that. That's RITHMM. Download the app and you can build your own models, make your own factors, or you can let their AI backed data build models for you. And that goes across all the sports they offer. Uh, College basketball, NBA, that's going on. It's another one you could be betting on. NFL, college football, when it starts back up. And I think, I'm not sure if it's been released yet or not, they were also adding golf to it as well to handicap golf, which is very interesting to me. I'm not a big golf fan, but I'm just kind of interested how you handicap something like that. But I can't
Yeah,
hear you.
usually what they do is you'll pick between two golfers who's going to finish better. Usually that's
Oh,
one way
okay.
that they go about doing that. But, talking about gambling, you went on a pretty good heater college basketball wise, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, it was we had an ice storm down here in Mississippi and we were all kind of locked in for a week. So I ended up getting my Rhythm app out. I had one college basketball model already built. I built a second one and started tracking it leading up to the ice storm. And then I was basically trapped in here for an entire week. So that's how I spent my 8 days. I couldn't get out that Monday either. So my 8 days in the house was sitting around gambling on college basketball. I can't remember what the final record was. At one point, I was 34-11, going strictly by the Rhythm models that I had, and those went so well. I ended up getting a third model. Currently tracking it now, and it's going pretty well too. So kind of using all three of them now, seeing which ones I can use, and uh, this one is really good on spreads so far. That's where it's really shining at. So actually have a spread in for tonight. We're recording this on a Friday, so might dip my toes into the waters of betting spreads instead of strictly over. So kind of branching out a little bit,
There
kind
we
of
go.
diversifying. So see how it works. But yeah, y'all go try Rhythm. You can sign up, get 14 days free using their models, and make sure to follow them on Twitter and Instagram and all that. They put out in anywhere from 3 to 5 free plays every single day, whether you're signed up with them or not. So at least give them a follow, and you can track those free plays and kind of see how they work. So y'all go try those out. But guys, it's been a couple weeks since we've gotten together, talked Ole Miss sports. A lot has happened. We're going to dive into a lot of basketball on this show, considering that we actually have not one but two relevant basketball programs all of a sudden here, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I say all of a sudden, Coach O has done a tremendous job building this women's program from where she started at. Went to the Sweet 16 last year, ended up knocking off Stanford on their home court to get there. Really big win for the program, and she's kind of kept the momentum going a little bit this year. I think right now they're currently tied for second place in the SEC right now in the standings, coming off of a big win on the road at Vanderbilt, and they've got an absolute bear of
Big
a
one.
matchup coming out. Right, they've got to travel to Columbia, South Carolina, and take on
Yep.
the premier women's team in the entire country and the premier women's program in the entire country. But she made headlines for something a little bit different this past week when she went on her rant about support from the Oxford community and stuff like that. And look, first thing I'm going to say to get it out of the way, it is 100% Coach O's job to try to put butts in the seats and get support for her program. That's what she is there for. She's paid well to do it. The product on the court has gone very well the last couple of years, so she is winning. I didn't necessarily like the way she went about it, but I also can't complain too much about it and say she did it wrong because the results since then have been pretty good. She got fans to that Tennessee game. Chad, we'll start you out. What are kind of your thoughts on Coach O, the way she went about it in her press conference, and do you think that she did it the right way, I guess?
I mean, look, context matters, right? So I think what fired all this up was there was a tweet kind of explaining how profitable, athletic programs at Ole Miss were. I think the examples that were used were football, which is obviously going to be the most profitable sport of any SEC school and most D1 schools. And I think baseball might have been the other one, which was a positive. It was not near as much as
it was like
111. Yeah, it wasn't much.
And it wasn't much.
And then men's basketball, women's basketball, which I want to say it was 4 million in the whole, if I'm not mistaken. 8. Okay, so double that. And I think she was more upset with context. Because on the surface, the numbers do look pretty damning as to, well, why are we spending so much money on a net loser financially, which of course would be the women's basketball team. And I think she's upset with, look, I'm doing what I'm doing. Well, I'm doing what I'm paid to do, and that is to bring a winner to a program that has been a perennial loser, at least since Armini Price was playing back in the 07 days. And she's done that. Now, she has and most women's basketball coaches have a struggle because of the excitement level that, the fan bases have to kind of come around to it, right? Traditionally, and let's be honest, men's basketball has not been real big at Ole Miss either. Now, Chris Beard has done a good job of getting them to a place where they're competitive and they have a real good shot at making the tournament. And you are seeing fans come out. I can imagine her frustration is, I've been doing this for the last 2 seasons, and I'm not seeing quite the turnout that men's basketball is. And they were the worst team in the SEC last year, and now they are, pretty competitive. So I understand the frustration. It is going to be a tough ask because Oxford's not a big place, and basketball plays a lot of midweek games. It's not easy getting people there, but I understand why she did it. Whether or not I agree with it, I don't know what else to try, right? All the different efforts she's made to get people out and to get more exposure. The good thing on her side, women's basketball is making a step up, right? With Caitlin Clark at Iowa, South Carolina, how dominant they've been. There is more interest in the women's game than there ever has been. And I think it's just going to go a little bit slower than what she wants. And whether or not that keeps her in Oxford, that remains to be seen.
Yeah. I think you made several good points there. When this first happened, I had the opinion of this was the complete wrong way to do it. I immediately knew what she was trying to do and agreed with what she was trying to do from a standpoint of kind of like I said, this is her job. She needs to get butts in seats. She wants things to be profitable. Now, kind of adding to the context of that tweet you were talking about, it was Chase Parham that put it out. He wrote a full story about the athletic department's revenues and the way that they broke it down, right? He got all that from the athletic department first and foremost. He didn't make any of it up, right? He talked about it, I guess it was Monday on his show after all of this kind of blew up a little bit. One thing that is baked into those numbers, like men's basketball, it showed a 3-point-something million loss as well. Okay. But one thing that you don't know just looking at those numbers, there's $2.5 million in the negative that automatically goes on top of women's and men's basketball right out of the gate for the pavilion expenses. Okay. So that's already baked in there. So they themselves didn't lose $8 million, that puts them down to what would that be, like 5.5 or whatever it is. And it gets the men's basketball program pretty much even right there. Which, look, the men's basketball program has to make money. You can't run an athletic department with a failing men's basketball program. You're going to get most of your money out of football. You need basketball to, make at least a few million a year to put on top of it. Now, the one advantage Ole Miss has, we have a baseball program that doesn't bleed money. We're one of maybe 7 teams in the entire country that's not just absolutely hemorrhaging money from the baseball program. So, and I haven't looked it up, but I would imagine there's probably about the same amount of women's basketball programs that make money too, right? I mean, that's what football and men's basketball is for, to keep all of these other ones afloat. So I think maybe the responses to Chase's tweet showing the $8 million loss, a lot of them were misguided in the fact they just see $8 million. Well, again, first of all, it was really 5.5 because you've got to pay for the pavilion. That has nothing to do with the women's basketball program. And on top of that, women's basketball is going to lose money basically all over the country. And so I think that's where most of her anger came from. But she just didn't express it in the right way. But now, since that's happened, and I've seen mainly her, she's done a great job since then, getting out, supporting Oxford, supporting other teams, and whether that came from Keith Carter or somebody else in her camp saying, hey, this is how you need to rebuild it. I don't really care how it came about. She's done a phenomenal job putting herself out there, being a bigger part of the Oxford community, at least publicly. From what I understand, privately, she was always that person in Oxford. I don't live in Oxford, so I don't know. But
I thought it was huge that she was on the floor, courtside, whatever night
Mississippi
it was.
State.
The this week. And I did appreciate the cameras showing her plenty, right? Almost down in the floor at times, just cheering for the guys. I thought that was great to see. But like you guys, I agree with what 100%, with what she's saying. And I have softened so much on it as being a dad of a daughter who not even in just athletics, but in life, we'll have to deal with things like this. So I take Sawyer to the games as often as I can. And like Chad said, there's a lot of midweek games, and we're talking spending me, her and Blake go. I mean, you're going to eat when you get in there. You're talking about spending $100. I mean, when you go, that's not feasible for everybody. But what really struck me about what she was saying is that I was part of a crowd just a couple of weeks earlier that set a pavilion record, right? Not for a women's basketball game, like overall, a pavilion record of 9,100 people. And so like I said, I get what she's saying. I think they're averaging 3,000 fans. If that, it's much less than the guys. It's a shame. It's a great product. I've been to 4 or 5 games. They're a lot of fun to watch. Marquisha Davis is an absolute baller. So, get out and support the team. But I think we're kind of all three same thing here is we agree with what she's saying, just maybe not how she did it. I think we get the frustration of being in that press conference, and we've all done things, said things out of frustration that we probably mean at the root level, but we just say the wrong way or they come across the wrong way. But I haven't lost any love for Coach Yo or anything like that. And so I'm still on board with her.
It's Ole Miss's to lose, right? Because like I said, Coach O is paid to create a program and to win games. If she does that and people don't show up, then she's just going to go to a bigger and better program that's going to support her, right? Yeah. So the point where she's expressing her frustration of getting people out, she can go about that however she wants to. But if the school wants to build a program that is getting eyes on it, similar to what, South Carolina did, which was not a big program prior to Staley being there, then they do have to support, or else she's going to go somewhere, because she has been a proven winner at a program that did not have a lot of resources, prior to the pavilion, and we're probably still lacking in the SEC compared to other schools. So we can say, or, fans can say whatever they want to about, well, it's women's basketball. Okay, that's fine. But understand that money has to go somewhere, and she's going to take her talents elsewhere if people don't support it.
Yeah, and you said something earlier too about how women's basketball, is growing, and it's because of people like Caitlin Clark or things. And my immediate thought was, that's the reason that I've kind of gotten into women's basketball is Coach Yo. So women's basketball needs somebody like her, not just a proven winner, somebody that's, I wrote down, charismatic and just an absolute ball of joy. I've been around her a couple of times outside of the basketball arena, watching her coach. And man, she is one of the funnest people to be around. And very passionate. And so I think it's important that we hit on not only building this winning program out of nothing, but also because other people can. Gino Ariyama has been doing that for years at UConn. But I think the fact that she's out in the community, she's at the men's game, she's doing all of these auxiliary things and not just winning, I think that is slowly building a love for women's basketball here in Oxford.
Yeah, and she's done a great job with it. I mean, she's an incredible recruiter, obviously a very good coach. I mean, look, when she took over, this was literally a nothing program. We were 0-16, 0-18, however many conference games they played. There was nothing here. She took it over, and look, she's absolutely helped herself. She's paid well to do her job. And again, I know I said earlier that I don't think she went about it the right way. I wouldn't have used those words, but I still couldn't sit here and tell you of any other way of going about it at the same time, right? I mean, she came out and she said what she said. I agree with it. I think it's the truth. It just rubbed people the wrong way, but I think that everything's going to be fine with her and this women's basketball program. I mean, I think a lot of people are really starting to come around, kind of like I am, and it sounds like y'all have too. That this was kind of, maybe it was absolutely the right thing to do.
I think the tweet would have come off better, or at least the tweet she was responding to is, I mentioned context, right?
Yeah.
Men's golf, what's their profitability? Men's tennis, what's their profitability? Instead of just showing the one women's sport that is losing money in that tweet. I understand maybe that's where she was coming from, but I can understand that perspective because there are men's sports that lose money too. And there are other women's sports that lose money too. So painting that picture, and like I said, this is not a knock on Chase or anyone like that. I wonder if that's the angle she was taking, because we've lost money because of the pavilion, like you had mentioned, Dids, and there are other programs that lose money in this at this university too.
All of them.
Yeah.
All of them. Yeah. And again, to Chase's credit as well, he puts all of that in his story too, right? Like he's giving you a snippet in a tweet to get you to read the story. So he took the big four sports, football, baseball, and men and women's basketball, and that was his little teaser for you to go read his story. He has a full breakdown in the story. But again, I understand where Coach O's coming from.
We know nobody reads the article. We know that nobody.
Yeah, exactly. Right. That's kind of why Twitter has that thing. Are you sure you want to share this without reading? Right. Yeah. So, but but anyway, that's kind of our takes on Coach O. I think all three of us are on Coach O's side here. We're behind her. We're behind this women's basketball program. She's done an incredible job, and it seems like there's. I don't know if y'all saw it last night or not when they played at Vanderbilt. There was a good Rebel contingent there for that one. I don't know if y'all saw that or not. But, maybe this does get fans out. And look, I hope it does. I think she's incredible for this university, this sport. She's one of those personalities that can help grow the game outside of these big-time players like Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark and those kind of stars, because she's going to be around for a while coaching either at Ole Miss or somebody else because she really is that good. So, all love for Coach O. Good luck to her.
And a huge program win against Tennessee.
Yeah,
too,
yeah.
right.
Look,
Like, I mean, that is huge.
Yeah, and she's got a chance to get another one this Sunday. Traveling to South Carolina, that's obviously going to be a tall task, but you go in there with your best shot and throw a few haymakers and see if any of them land. So, but that's our thoughts on Coach O. Let's move on to the men's side though, because guys, I mean this team, they just keep doing it right. Big win over Mississippi State on Tuesday.
Yeah.
This was a real good stretch for Ole Miss. You kind of break schedules down into parts, right? And if you look at this 4-game part, it was Mississippi State at home, the big win at Texas A&M last week.
That road win's huge.
Huge, right? And then you had that home win against Arkansas, which they have their own issues. We demolished them. And then the home game coming up Saturday against Auburn's in that little 4-game pack. And kind of when you look at it, before any of the games happen, you think, okay, protect your home court, because if you protect your home court, you're going to get a top 10 net win in Auburn at least. But Auburn or that road game against A&M was one of the 2 games you absolutely had to have, while the other 2 games, there was no way you could possibly lose them because it could absolutely kill you, right? But they ended up winning the first 3 out of this little pack we have, and huge game with Bruce Pearl and the Tigers coming into the pavilion on Saturday at 5:30, something like that.
This next 3 games is going to be a real good test, right? Because they've got Auburn at home, then they have to go to South Carolina, who may be the surprise of the league. If you're not counting Ole Miss, and then you got Kentucky, who they're spotty, right? You never know which Kentucky team you're going to get, but they've got that big 7-footer now. Yeah, he's been real good for them. So you got 2 games on the road in Columbia and Lexington that are not going to be easy, and you got Auburn on Saturday. So a 1-2 stretch, I think, would be successful.
I do too.
Obviously, you can win more than that, then you're happy. But a 3-game losing streak, obviously, that's not what we're expecting. But that's it. 1 win out of the next 3 would be really, really, really big.
Yeah, we're what, 5-3 right now. So this game against Auburn is the halfway point, right? So we already have 5 SEC wins going into the turn, and like you said, kind of the back half is a bit of a bear, kind of like you were talking about Auburn, Kentucky, South Carolina, and then there's is it a road game against Alabama, or do we have them in the pavilion?
We've got Alabama at home. We've got 2 games against Missouri. We play South Carolina again. We're double dipping with South Carolina, and then we got to go to Georgia, and then A&M comes to Oxford to wrap it up.
Yeah, so you're kind of looking from and
state again.
And we never win there. So, but so we're at 5 wins now. You get 2 games against Missouri. You cannot lose either one of those games, right?
No.
You have to win those 2. So that gets you to 7. And now you've got to try to find a way to get 3 the rest of the way, whether that be A&M at home. That's a winnable game. One we probably should win. South Carolina, you said they're coming back to the pavilion.
Right.
So
Texas A&M coming to the pavilion, and Alabama.
Yeah, going to Athens, that's a winnable game, but they're a totally different team in Athens than they are on the road too.
We never play well there.
No, we don't. So, look, Chris Beard, I don't think it can be understated the job he's done with this team, considering where we were at last year, right? What was it, 3 SEC? 4 if you count the SEC tournament.
Painful.
We can copy and paste. We can copy and paste the Coach O conversation and basically just apply it to Coach Beard, considering what he took over, what he's doing, the energy that is it. Because while, yes, Coach O does have a gripe about the attendance, it's better than when she got here. And obviously we can say the same thing for Coach Beard and the level of excitement and enthusiasm that was just on display watching it, here in California. That place was rocking on Tuesday night against State. It was live.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well
yeah.
said.
So, like you said, big win against Mississippi State, though. I thought they really showed a lot of fight in that game. The first half, there's no reason that should have been a tie ball game half. I thought we played pretty poorly for the majority of it. But look, it kind of speaks to the depth that Chris Beard has built in a very, very short period of time, because we get a game like we did out of TJ Caldwell where he comes out and literally doesn't miss a shot all night. He's the reason we were in it at halftime. He was incredible for us. And
well, he had a career high, 18.
Yeah,
I
18.
think.
Yep. And Juju Murray's playing out of his mind. That kid
Give
has
that
never
kid the
seen
ball.
he's never seen a shot that he won't take. I mean, he's been absolutely incredible.
Take all of, man. I don't know if y'all were watching the game or not, but at the end of the game, we were running the clock out, or I don't remember what it was, but it looked like we were setting up for a play.
We were up two.
We're up two. Murray had the ball, I don't know, 35 feet out on the left side of the court, and Beard is behind him. And Beard starts waving everybody off. And I stood up out of my chair. I knew what was coming. I stood up. I was like, he's fixing to shoot it. And he missed it.
He missed it.
But man, I loved that shot.
Look,
and I was just like, shoot it every time, man.
Yeah, look, that's the confidence Chris has in him, though. You heard that in the post game with Juju Murray after the A&M game, where he had a very similar shot to win that game. Right, we're tied, and everybody gets out of his way. He's 25 feet from the basket, and he jacks that son of a bitch up and he drains.
He's got a quick trigger, man.
Yeah, he does.
He kind of shoot. He's a little small, and he kind of shoots it from the hip a little bit, but man, he's got a quick trigger. If you give him a couple of feet, it's going up.
Yeah, but one thing that I loved about that is in the post game, they obviously asked Juju about that shot, and he said Chris Beard always tells him, "You're not going to get in trouble for shooting the ball. I don't care if you make it or miss it. Shoot it. If your shot's there, shoot it." And he said that just kind of stuck with him, and so he's not scared to take a shot. Having that kind of confidence from your coach as a player is a really, really big deal. And quite frankly, I think that's something that's been lacking the last few years in Oxford. I think they've been a little gun shy to fire that thing up for fear of getting pulled or whatever. Chris Beard doesn't take timeouts. He doesn't pull people. He is going to let the game flow from beginning to end. And it was just an incredible, incredible game Tuesday night with and Juju going for 23. The big one for me was 11 assists, 1 turnover. He always makes the right play on the offensive side of the ball, and that's why you let him have the ball and you get out of his way and you trust him to either shoot it or find somebody to make a shot from there.
I love watching him dribble and, for lack of a better term, meander his way around these guys and get to the basket. Now, that does bring up one thing, a negative thing that I've noticed about this team is our big 7-footers. They don't quite have the hands, and they don't quite catch those balls when Murray or Flanagan, whoever gets down in there deep. They draw the other guy, and they maybe do a wraparound pass to Sharp or Musa Cisse. Man, I have seen a bunch of balls hit their hands and go out of bounds there.
They're defense.
Yeah, we're getting to the basket, but finishing is going to be much more important going forward.
Yeah, and one thing that I noticed during that state game that really frustrated me, now this isn't the only example, it's just the one that comes to mind. Jamie Brakefield had a good shot, top of the key. It was kind of top of the key right wing, right between the two areas there. But when he shot it, he started fading back and going back down court, and that sucker hit right off the front rim, bounced right back to him. Right.
Yeah, same thing happened to Morrell. Same thing happened to Morrell late in the game.
When
from the right wing. Yep.
Yeah. When you're as bad of a rebounding team as we are, and look, that's not going to change. Okay, now.
Yeah, we've talked about it.
Yeah. I mean, it just is what it is now. Those are the kind of rebounds you can get just from an effort standpoint, though.
It's from a follow your shot. Yeah.
Follow your shot, or just stay in your shot. Like, just don't fade back, going back down court after that. After you let it go.
I'm pretty sure that's the play where Blake came in and said, "What's wrong? Everybody hears you screaming, follow your shot. Who is shot?" And I was like, "Oh, sorry." So
yeah. And then I was talking to Dad after the game. Obviously, we talked either after the game or the next day, and we talk about the rebounding all the time on here. We've done it basically every single week. We've sat down about basketball. It's almost to a point now, though, that you kind of feel like it doesn't matter, right? Like it obviously sucks. You need to rebound better to be an elite team. Now, look, this isn't going to be a national championship team or anything, but there's something to this team being so resilient and so tough, especially down the stretch.
They're overcoming it.
Yeah, I mean, we got out rebounded by 14, I think, against Mississippi State, and they find ways to win, and that's got to say something from a team mentality standpoint. Maybe even taking on the personality of their coach a little bit.
Free throws, man.
Really good free throws.
The past 4 years watching these kids shoot free throws has been one of the most frustrating things. I think may have taken years off my life. But it doesn't matter who goes up to the line. I have all the confidence in the world of them hitting the front end of a 1-and-1 at least. Right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I jumped in and interrupted you, Chad. You're saying something, sorry.
No, you're good. I was just basically agreeing with what you're saying. I was going to look up a little stat here about their free throw.
Continue, Dan.
We got us a numbers man here.
Yeah, I mean, Ole Miss may not be, anywhere near the top, so it may not be anything of value that I'm about to offer you. So y'all can talk amongst yourselves.
Yeah,
we're 55th in the country at almost 75%. So there's 300 teams, and so I mean, that's pretty damn good.
Mm-hmm.
It's elite from what we were previous years.
Yeah, and they said it during the broadcast usually against State when Brakefield got the line. He's hit something like 30 or 40 something straight free throws, something like that. He's really improved right there. Morrell just seems to show up when you need him, right? I mean, there are some times where he kind of disappears a little bit, doesn't take the best shots, but when it comes crunch time, I mean, you can count on him to get you a bucket to stop a run or something like that, it feels like.
Yeah, and there's not anything on the face of this planet that can shake Al Flanagan. He's the calmest person I have ever seen.
Yeah,
it is.
Him and Juju Murray, obviously,
to the point where it's almost like, man, do you care if we win or not? I know he does, but I'm saying it's like, man, he is so just calm. It's something to admire.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. All right. That was, like I said, we've got a big game coming up against Auburn this Saturday. They absolutely dismantled the Rebels on the Plains earlier this year. Now, look, this is
Auburn's
a completely different.
Team, man.
They're a really good team. They're a top 10 net, but they are completely different on the road, just like it seems every SEC team is, though, right? Yeah. I mean, it's quite alarming how bad SEC teams have been on the road. And Ole Miss is a completely different team at home. We shoot it awfully well. There are things we're able to overcome. And I think a lot of it does have to do with the crowd and the environment that Chris
Beard is creating.
It's going to be nuts up there. Yeah, I was looking at ticket prices on StubHub and stuff like that. Like, you're talking, if you're not up in the nosebleeds, you're paying $500 to get in the door.
Really?
Up there Saturday. Yeah.
Hey,
it's nuts. It's nuts. So, but look, good for Chris Beard, good for that program. It's been a long time since we've had that kind of excitement. So it was kind of a shock to me to see something like that. But let's kind of transition real quick to baseball. Just I have a couple of thoughts there, and then we can get out of here. First of all, we're recording this on a Friday, but this is the last weekend you'll have a chance to watch the Ole Miss Rebels scrimmage. They're scrimmaging Friday at 6:30, and then Saturday and Sunday at 1:00. Me and Hitch actually just got done interviewing Josh Mallets. He will be pitching during the scrimmage tonight on Friday night. That'll be when he gets his work in. But if y'all want to get out to Swayze, support the baseball team for these last few scrimmages before we kick off our season against Hawaii here in a couple weeks. I was kind of talking to the guys earlier. We've got we're going to do a preview for y'all maybe sometime next week leading into the season. The first pitch against Hawaii is at 10:30 at night. I had people ask me about streaming options, so I started looking into that today. Looks like Spectrum Sports is carrying the first game out there in Hawaii, and then ESPN Honolulu will have the rest of them. Chad, are you familiar with that living out there?
No, I'm not.
No? Okay. I mean, I know there's still an ocean between you and everything. They're closer to Hawaii than we are. So
Yeah,
I don't know if you had heard of ESPN Honolulu or not.
I've heard of ESPN, but not ESPN Honolulu.
Okay. Well, apparently it's only on YouTube.
Okay.
I'm still trying to research whether or not they live stream games though, but they have ESPN Honolulu listed for all 5 games. So
I'm telling you what, if anybody can figure it out, it's us.
Yeah. Well, no, it's definitely not DIDS. I'm counting on y'all to figure out the technological part, and then I'll tweet it out or something and kind of act like I figured it out from there. That's kind of how I do these things. So, but yeah, look, they're the scouting guides. If any of y'all out there ordered those, they have been shipped. If you did the digital copy, then you should have something in your email already about downloading it. I would imagine the hard copies, you should be seeing those in the next day or two. Again, this being a Friday. So true, they'll be in this weekend, maybe early part of next week if you got the hard copy through the mail, but those have been shipped out. So y'all should be seeing those. A ton of scouting reports from every player on the Ole Miss baseball team. I'm super excited to get this baseball season underway. Chad needs to brush up on it a little bit from the sounds of it, but we're going to get him all the necessary information. But Chad does like baseball, though. Everybody, just so you know, he is a baseball fan. It's
can't wait to see how David DeLucci does this year.
Yeah, in the booth, obviously, is what you're talking about.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's right. In the booth. So
that's the booth thing.
But yeah, y'all just keep y'all's eyes open for next week. I think we're gonna try to do a baseball preview.
Got
do
to pick
more
up a second
basketball.
baseman prospect, Steve Dillard. Keep your eye out for him.
Yeah, there you go. So we'll talk more basketball. Obviously, hopefully we will have a lot to talk about a big win over Auburn. Really going to be locked in on that Saturday. So
I can't wait.
Yeah, me either. So fun to have stuff to talk about though.
Man, it's become, and I don't know if I said it on here or I maybe I sent it in a text message. It's become fun watching. Like I look forward to watching the basketball games again, whereas previous years it's been like, I guess here we go.
It's football and nothing until baseball.
Yeah.
But I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. So shout out to Keith Carter getting Chris Beard docs for them. I mean you talk about a guy that's earned his paycheck ever since he's taken over. That's Keith. You know, he goes out and hires Lane Kiffin, hires Chris Beard, 2 outside the box hires that, quite frankly, I don't know that anybody prior to Keith would have had the.
We're relevant in all 4 sports.
Yeah. I mean,
pretty damn impressive.
We have a collection of coaches now like we've never seen in Oxford. It's a lot of fun. So it's a year-round thing right now, and that makes, kind of things like we're doing right now possible, where you can hop on literally every single week and have something to talk about instead of just sit there grinding through it trying to make up stuff. So and that's also a credit to Coach O, right? I mean, usually women's basketball wouldn't have even sniffed anybody's show, not just ours, but anybody. So shout out to her. She's done a great job. Beard's done a great job, and Mike Bianco's about to start year 24, guys. How crazy is that to think about? Like I know y'all are in the same camp as me. Y'all remember him getting hired.
I do. Yeah. I mean, because Ole Miss baseball I did not care anything about it. It was not an atmosphere. I was, frankly, I enjoyed going to Mississippi State baseball games better because the atmosphere was better.
We would come over here on Sundays when we were in high school. I think maybe it was $1 you could get in maybe for $1, and we'd come over here and watch a Sunday game. It's Stephen Head and those guys. But
I think you're mixing that up with Rick's Dollar Night.
That's fair. That's a good point.
Yeah.
Let me back up. I too enjoyed Starkville baseball a lot.
Yeah. So, but we don't have to worry about that anymore. We got Oxford baseball, and it's way better, so they can kiss my ass. All right, guys. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and end it right there on good kiss my ass Mississippi State, and we will talk to you guys next week.
All right, boys.
Fellas. See y'all.
All right, Toddy.